Hello, and welcome to Conversations with Your Experts, where we connect you with the brilliant minds driving Belvo's innovations. I'm Amanda Pofel, Product Marketing at Belvo, and today I'm thrilled to be joined by Giuseppe Ciotta, Belvo's Chief Technology Officer. Giuseppe is here to share an in-depth exploration into the tech shaping Belvo, our approach to AI, and what's next for open finance. Giuseppe, welcome, and thanks for being here.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for having me.
To kick things off, could you share a little about your journey, what brought you to Belvo, and what drives you in this industry of tech and finance?
Yeah, definitely. I joined Belvo in 2020, so that's over 4.5 years ago. And back then, what I found really interesting about Belvo was that it was trying to solve a problem, which is financial inclusion in Latin America, which was really something that wasn't being addressed by anybody else. And being able to do this from a technology angle, from a technology perspective, it really motivated me as an engineer. So yeah, that's why I decided to join.
Belvo is in its core a data-driven company focused on open finance and payments. We've been working with data for over 5 years now, with over 40 million people across Latin America having already shared their accounts with Belvo at some point. Could you walk us through what that journey has been like from a tech perspective?
So from a tech perspective, the more data you have, the better products you can develop, right? That's really the reality of it. And at the beginning, where you're building a startup 0 to 1, you have this product you're launching, but you don't necessarily have a lot of feedback coming from the market and from users. But as you scale, you start getting this data and this feedback, and it becomes easier and easier to develop new product. You can start thinking about new ways of solving problems because you have all this data available. You can think about more sophistication around machine learning, AI, algorithms that you can apply, technology that you can use. Data opens you so many doors that you can use, and you can tell that throughout the journey of Belvo. We definitely are being more sophisticated in terms of product development as we grew in data footprint.
Let's talk a little bit about AI. We already have been using machine learning based products in our technology, right? Could you give some examples of how AI currently powers Belvo's products?
So we have been working with machine learning and AI for a few years. Actually, we built the first products leveraging these technologies right after the company was born. And one of the first ones that we built was our transaction classification engine. So this is a part of the product that's able to analyze a stream of transactions and it's able to tell whether a certain transaction, certain banking transaction, is, for instance, utility bills or groceries or any other category of financial transaction. We're able to understand that from the data that we analyze. So that was the first product that we built, and that's one of the first most important building blocks for a fintech company, because then on top of that you start building other products. We also built many other products. For instance, we have an income detection engine. And this is a product that's able to analyze a stream of transactions, of financial transactions in a bank, and understand what's the typical salary of an individual, what's monthly averages, various types of informations around income, bonuses, variables, that kind of things. We also have developed many other machine learning models around specifically credit and lending use cases. So there we have technology that's able to predict the ability of an individual to repay a certain loan. So this is very useful in banking context where banks and lenders are need to understand if a given individual is going to be able to repay a certain loan. And also more recently, for instance, we have developed many new products based on open finance, and specifically in Brazil. So open finance is an very rich ecosystem that's been built in the last few years in Brazil, pushed by the Central Bank of Brazil. And one of the cool things about this is that it really gives you hundreds and literally multiple hundred variables, alongside the typical, transactional information that you get. So this richness meant that we could also develop much richer products that are able to leverage machine learning and AI to make more sophisticated predictions. So yeah, definitely been working for a few years now with these technologies.
You mentioned AI and machine learning, but with so many buzzwords floating around, what is AI? It would be great for us if you could help us demystify this a bit. How does machine learning different from generative AI? I think that's a question a lot of people wonder about.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, to be honest, like there isn't really a clear line between concepts such as machine learning and AI, or AI generative AI. So these are all technologies that live on a continuum and they are somehow connected between each other. But we could think that more traditional machine learning is about really making a prediction based on patterns and learning from these patterns how to make it a certain prediction for a given problem. Whereas in general, if we talk about machine learning, it's more about building systems that are able to mimic the human intelligence, right, in some shape or form. So broadly speaking, this is essentially what we could say. Now we could make a further distinction between more traditional AI and generative AI. And so generative AI, it's really more about creating new content based on a given kind of training set. And so we've seen this with the likes of ChatGPT or diffusion models for generating images. Like these are all use cases where you generate new outputs based on a certain training set. And whereas AI in general, it's not necessarily focused on this specific problem, but rather like making predictions, right? And more broadly speaking, so we can make this distinction. Yeah.
At Belvo, how exactly does AI help power our products? In what ways do AI and machine learning improve the accuracy and efficiency of data enrichment?
So as you start collecting more data, right, more data points, you can build more and more sophisticated experiences for your users. And this is really being at the core of what we do and what we have been doing lately at Belvo, and specifically with open finance. So we've seen that with so many variables, with so many data points around individuals, we can build very sophisticated and really precise, models that are able to predict things like, whether again individuals can repay a certain loan or even just outside of the lending space, you can build many segmentation models that are able to understand how kind of consumers behave and whether they can be grouped in specific groups based on their behavior or their transactional behavior. You can build many other like marketing use cases. You can build like fraud detection use cases. There are so many things that you can build with these these data points. But personally, if I had to pick one, the one that really excites me the most is around kind of personalization of banking and finance in general, right? Because with all these data points, machine learning and AI models can really understand the behavior of individuals, and they can present really pertinent and relevant suggestions to users. So I'm going to give you an example. So through an AI model, we can pretty easily understand that perhaps you just bought a plane ticket to go somewhere, right? To go on a trip. And in that sense, we can pretty easily make you a suggestion as to, hey, maybe you want to purchase also a travel insurance, right, for this upcoming trip. So that is very easy to do. And but that's just the tip of the iceberg. Like you can build many personalization experiences around like the transactionality of users. Because you can understand so much about their behavior. So this is really what excites me the most around AI open finance.
We all know that AI can be incredibly powerful, and when we are talking about so much data, it also raises important questions around privacy and ethics, especially when it comes to finance. How do you see Belvo approaching balancing data insights with privacy and compliance? Are there specific ethical considerations we're focused on?
Yeah, so this is definitely a complex, really complex topic, and also because it kind of changes between countries, right? It's not like you don't have one single regulation for everything. But anyways, like if we, we can, pick it apart and we can start thinking about the ethical use of AI, right? So this is very important. As I said at the beginning, I joined Belvo because I believed in, I still believe, of course, in, financial inclusion. And whenever we build AI models, it's really important to avoid that the fact that these models can make decisions based on bias, right? So the way in which you train these models, the way in which you evaluate these models, like it is crucial because you really need to avoid introducing bias in them, right? So that's one thing. And I would say that, like, even from a tech perspective, this is challenging because like many of the things that we use, many of the technologies that we use, for instance, if you think about neural networks that are at the base of what we consider AI and deep learning nowadays, like these are by default, these are black boxes. These are by design, these are black boxes that are difficult to explain, like what's happening inside of them. So building something that's explainable, that's understandable, and that does not introduce bias. So that's has to be very, very important, right? And that's one of the things in which we focus a lot. Then we can also talk about data, PII, personally identifiable information, and anonymization of data. So this is also a pretty important topic. But essentially, our perspective on this is that we should anonymize and minimize the amount of data that we collect to perform a certain task, or to build a certain model. So that's why we put so much focus on specifically anonymization, data anonymization. So whenever we ingest some data, if there's a way for us to build a model that doesn't depend on reading the original data, if we can apply some transformations and still preserve the data quality that we need, we will do that. And same goes for data minimization. So if there's a way in which we can avoid storing everything, but rather maybe focusing on a smaller subset that will give us the ability to still train and develop new models, so we will do that, right? And and one topic that's pretty adjacent to this is also like user consent. Like you have all of this data, you have all these data points, hundreds, for instance, in open finance, and so you can know so much about individuals. And that's why it is so important that you only should operate, and as a company, we only operate on data where we have the end user consent. So whenever we develop new products, we place special attention to building like user funnels that really inform the end user that, hey, like ABC is happening, is going to happen. Like, do you agree with this? Do you grant your consent to process this data? So this is very important. And finally, everything has to be processed and analyzed in a way that complies with local laws, right? So each country has its own regulations, and sometimes they're very similar, sometimes they're not. So essentially what you have to do from a tech perspective is to take the most stringent regulation and apply that to all the countries in which you operate, right? That's kind of the rule of thumb that we apply. So yeah, these are all things that need to be taken into account whenever we develop AI and machine learning in general, but also broadly speaking, any product that we develop at Belvo.
How these innovations transform financial inclusion in Latin America? How do you see that happening? Are there technologies you think could change how people in the region access financial products?
Yeah, so our mission has always been to democratize access to financial products and increase financial inclusion. And so we believe one of the best ways to do that is to really offer a more a broader view, a complete view of a person financial life, right? So if we only have a portion of somebody's financial life, if we only, for instance, have understanding of a single banking account, and a person has multiple banking accounts, then it will become harder perhaps to access certain products. It could be a credit card, a loan, any other financial product that requires a more complete understanding of the user. So this has been always a big focus for us, right? So understanding the whole picture, and AI is really the perfect tool to do this, because we're able to process like hundreds of variables around individuals across multiple banking accounts. And so AI really helps us because we don't have to focus on a subset of this data, but rather we can try to cover everything, and then offer this condensed view of an individual life that will help access financial products.
How do you see all these emerging products impacting how consumers interact with their financial products, their financial life in the next few years?
Yeah, I mean, there's a big shift that's happened in the last few years around, large language models, and we've all seen, ChatGPT and similar products, and these products have been used in many contexts, and specifically when we talk about financial, products and financial services, they have been employed in certain areas. For instance, we've seen like successful adoption of LLM-based agents in things like customer support. For instance, there have been multiple articles describing, for instance, what Klarna did, or what also like Wells Fargo is doing. Like many financial services company are bolstering their customer support teams with these AI engines. So this is already happening. But one thing that has not happened yet is that these technologies, that are being used increasingly more in the last few years, they really haven't been used in core banking and core financial domains. So far, you haven't really seen a large language model or a ChatGPT perform like a credit score evaluation for an individual, and this is really due to the nature of these algorithms and models. Because they still suffer, at least as of today, they still suffer from hallucinations. It's still difficult to really control their outputs, and they are, in many respects, still very non-deterministic, right? So this has somehow limited the adoption in financial services outside of these use cases that we discussed earlier. So I think what's really exciting about the future is that whoever will be able to kind of seize the opportunity here and be able to apply these newer technologies, these newer AI technologies to structure data. So data that, for instance, could be transactions that live in a database. It's not like text or video or images, but rather like structured tabular data. So whoever seizes the opportunity, I think that there's really great things to be done there, and that's exactly where we are working as a company. That's exactly where we are investing. That's exactly where we are researching as a company. So how do we apply these newer technologies to structural data? So this is what we're doing now.
Awesome. Thank you, Giuseppe. Thank you for such an enlightening conversation. We have been building amazing things. And thanks to everyone watching, and stay tuned for the next episodes when we'll bring more insights about open finance and tech at Belvo. Thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Bye.